There are people in your life who don't like you, even though you never did anything to hurt them. No fights. No betrayal. No drama. Still, they talk about you or quietly hope you fail. For a long time, you might think it's your fault. Maybe you were too quiet. Too distant. Too focused. But the truth is often much simpler and not about you at all. Sometimes people get uncomfortable when they see someone who respects themselves. When you don't beg for attention. When you don't overshare your problems. When you can say no without feeling guilty. When you walk away from things that don't feel right. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just protecting your peace. But to someone who struggles to do that, your calmness feels like a spotlight on their weakness. You remind them of the standards they wish they had. And instead of working on themselves, it's easier to call you cold, proud, or different. Then there's growth. People cheer for you when you're struggling. They support your plans and dreams. But when you actually start improving, when you become more confident, more focused, more disciplined, something changes. The energy shifts. The jokes feel strange. The support feels forced. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's because your progress makes them compare. And comparison is uncomfortable. When you grow, you silently ask a question without saying a word: if I can change, why haven't you? Not everyone wants to answer that. So instead, they say you've changed too much. They say you're not the same. And they're right, you're not. You're better than you used to be. Some people were comfortable with the old version of you because it matched where they were. When you move forward and they stay the same, the distance feels like rejection to them. But growth isn't betrayal. Outgrowing old patterns isn't arrogance. Choosing peace isn't pride. Sometimes people don't dislike you because you hurt them. They dislike you because you remind them of who they could be, and that reminder is hard to face. Sometimes the real reason people dislike you is very simple: you're being real. Most people are performing. They act happy when they're not. They act confident when they're unsure. They pretend to agree just to fit in. They laugh at things they don't find funny. It's a social mask. Then you walk in, and you're just yourself. You say what you actually think. You admit what you want. You don't fake excitement. You don't agree just to be liked. You're not trying to expose anyone. But your honesty quietly exposes the act. And that makes people uncomfortable. Because when someone lives truthfully, it forces others to notice where they are pretending. It's easier for them to call you too serious or too intense than to admit, I'm not being honest with myself. That's why some people prefer you quiet. That's why confidence from you irritates them. That's why sincerity gets mocked. Truth feels threatening to people who survive on illusion. Here's something even more uncomfortable: if absolutely nobody dislikes you, you might be playing it too safe. Living carefully. Blending in. Making sure you never disturb anyone. But living safely is not the same as living honestly. Being real doesn't make you loved by everyone. It makes you respected by the right people and resented by the insecure ones. Once you understand that, something shifts inside you. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop trading your peace for approval. You realize their dislike isn't proof that you're wrong. Sometimes it's proof that you've grown. But this doesn't mean you become arrogant. It doesn't mean you look down on others. It doesn't mean you isolate yourself. You simply stay grounded. Stay kind. Stay firm. You let people misunderstand you if they want to. You let them walk away. You don't chase them. Because clarity is more important than popularity. The same qualities that make insecure people uncomfortable will make the right people respect you deeply. Not loudly. Not publicly. But genuinely. Some people will never clap for you. Not because you're wrong, but because your courage challenges the story they tell themselves to feel okay. Living honestly has a cost. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels like you're walking alone. But that loneliness isn't punishment. It's growth. It's you standing on your own values for the first time. Don't rush to fill that silence with noise or fake company. Build yourself there. Strengthen yourself there. When you stop needing permission to be who you are, life changes. You become steady, clear, unshaken. The world doesn't always reward truth quickly. First, it tests it. It questions it. It tries to shame it. But if it survives all that, it becomes unbreakable. You don't need everyone to understand you. If you try to be understood by everyone, you'll eventually lose yourself. So stay real. Stay steady. Keep growing. And remember, growth has no deadline. Even if you're learning this later in life, it still counts. Better late than never is still a win.